I discovered my wife was cheating on me when she told me she was going out with her best friend, but at that exact moment, she was actually with me. I know what you're probably thinking. Just another cheating story like so many others. But for me, this one is different because it changed my life in ways I never imagined. Before I explain what happened, I need to describe what my marriage to Clara was like and why, in my mind, what I was doing felt justifiable, while what she did felt completely unforgivable. Clara and I met about 10 years ago at a mutual friend's party. She was everything I could have wanted: beautiful, intelligent, and above all, independent. She wasn't someone who needed constant attention, but when we were together, it felt like the rest of the world disappeared. She had this energy that made you want to improve yourself, just to feel worthy of being with her. In the early years, our marriage was what many people would call perfect. Clara was a true partner. She supported my decisions, encouraged me in my career, and did everything she could to make our life easier and happier. But as time passed, things began to shift. It didn't happen suddenly, but gradually the spark started to fade. What had once been a relationship full of passion and connection slowly turned into a routine lacking excitement. Like any man, I had my needs. Clara, however, seemed less and less interested. She was always busy, focused on work, friends, or her own hobbies. I started to feel neglected. I'm not saying that this excuses what I did, but I want to explain the context. It was during that emotional void that Amanda entered the picture. Amanda, Clara's best friend, was practically part of our lives. She was always around, at birthdays, holidays, and even on trips. She had always been close to Clara, but over time I began to notice something different. She seemed more interested in me than she should have been. At first, it was subtle, playful jokes, longer conversations, lingering glances that felt like they meant more. I resisted for a while, but when I finally gave in, it felt like a burden had been lifted. Amanda made me feel wanted again. She was lively, exciting, and full of energy. Honestly, I convinced myself that I was simply satisfying my masculine needs. In my mind, I wasn't truly betraying Clara because I still loved her. It was just physical, something I believed men required, and something she would never understand. At the same time, I was convinced Clara would never do something like that. She had always been so principled, so proper. I believed that as long as I kept things under control, no one would get hurt. But I underestimated how fragile secrets can be. One particular afternoon, Clara called me while she was at work. At that exact moment, I was in a hotel room with Amanda, enjoying our time together. When I saw Clara's name on my phone, I motioned for Amanda to stay quiet and answered. "Hey, love," Clara said cheerfully. "I just wanted to tell you I'm meeting Amanda after work today. We need to catch up on a few things, so don't wait for me for dinner." Amanda, lying beside me, almost burst out laughing. I covered the phone's microphone and shot her an irritated look. She just shrugged, clearly amused. "Sure, no problem," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Enjoy your time with Amanda." "Thanks, love. I love you," Clara said before hanging up. I stared at my phone, trying to process what had just happened. Amanda didn't seem surprised, which only made me more uneasy. "Did you know she was going to use you as an excuse?" I asked, struggling to stay calm. "I had no idea," Amanda said, but something in her tone made me suspicious. Then she added, "But it's kind of funny, isn't it? You do this all the time." Maybe Clara is just learning to play the same game. Her words hit me hard. I knew she had a point, but my pride wouldn't let me admit it. I got up and started getting dressed. I needed answers. If Clara isn't with you, then where is she, and who is she with? I muttered, "What are you going to do?" Amanda asked as she watched me. "I'm going to find out what's really going on," I said flatly. I grabbed my things and left, ignoring her attempts to stop me. In my mind, Clara had crossed a line. It was one thing for me to do what I did. I still saw myself as the provider, the committed husband. But her? She had no right to betray me like that. When I got home, my thoughts were racing. I needed a way to confront her without revealing everything I already suspected. I decided to wait until she returned. In the meantime, I started checking our messages and shared accounts for clues. That's when I found something that made my blood run cold. A dinner reservation under her name for that very night. And not just anywhere. It was at a restaurant she knew I disliked, which made it obvious she had no intention of inviting me. The question was, who was she going with? I sat there, hands trembling, heart pounding, trying to make sense of everything. Later, I couldn't believe what I saw. At that restaurant, Clara, my wife, the woman I had built a life with, was sitting with another man. She was laughing, smiling in a way that left no room for doubt. Every gesture, every glance confirmed what I had feared. Driving home in silence, my mind was in chaos. I wanted to confront her immediately, to shout, to let everything explode. But I knew that wouldn't help. I needed to stay calm. I needed to be strategic. If there was one thing my own actions had taught me, it was that the truth rarely comes out in moments of chaos. When I arrived home, the darkness and silence of the house only deepened my loneliness. I sat on the couch, unable to move, replaying the scene in my mind. Her laughter, her smile, the way she looked at him. Who was he? I recognized him, not closely, but enough to know he was someone from her workplace. Clara had mentioned him before casually. Daniel is leading the new project, she would say. Or, Daniel suggested this place for a meeting. I had never considered him a threat, but now everything made sense. The late nights at work, the sudden meetings, the networking events. It was him. It had always been him. It had always been him. I decided to investigate further. I couldn't rely only on what I had seen with my own eyes. I pulled out my phone and began searching through social media. It didn't take long to find his profile, Daniel Martinez. His profile picture showed a confident man, smiling with the kind of expression that suggested he knew exactly what he wanted and how to get it. I scrolled through his posts and comments, looking for anything that could confirm what I already suspected deep down. And then I found it. Photos from work events, posts with colleagues, and in several of them, Clara appeared. In one picture, they were sitting side by side, their bodies leaning toward each other in a way that felt far too close to be innocent. In another, they were what looked like a team dinner, and Clara had that same smile I'd seen at the restaurant, a smile that hadn't been directed at me in a long time. My chest filled with anger, but also something deeper, a heavy sense of humiliation. How had it come to this? How had I allowed everything to fall apart so completely? I had always believed that even if I had made mistakes, Clara was different, that she was above this kind of behavior. But now I realized she wasn't. She had her own secrets, and the worst part was how well she had hidden them. I hadn't noticed anything until now. As I kept scrolling, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Clara. Love, the night's running a little long. I might be later than expected. Don't wait up. Love you. I read those words and let out a bitter laugh. The audacity, the ease with which she lied was almost impressive. I took a deep breath and replied with something short. Try not to reveal what I was feeling. That's fine, love. Enjoy your night. Then I turned off my phone and closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. I needed a plan. I couldn't confront her without stronger proof. I needed certainty, every detail, every piece of the truth. If I was going to face her, I wanted there to be no escape, no way for her to deny it. More than anything, I wanted her to feel what I was feeling in that moment. Hours passed. Eventually, I heard the sound of the key turning in the door. Clara walked in, looking tired but satisfied, as if she had just come back from a perfect evening. She looked at me and smiled. Hi, love, she said, placing her bag on the table. The night was amazing. Amanda says hi. I looked at her, forcing myself to stay calm. Every word she spoke felt like a blade, but I managed to smile back and nod. I'm glad you had fun, I replied, keeping my voice as steady as possible. She walked over, kissed my cheek, and headed upstairs. I remained on the couch, staring into nothing. As much as I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, I knew it wasn't the right moment. Not yet. That night, I didn't sleep. My mind kept racing, connecting everything, every late return, every excuse I had accepted without question. The anger inside me kept growing, but alongside it came something else, determination. I was going to uncover everything, every lie, every hidden detail, every moment she had kept from me. And when the time came, Clara would know exactly how much I knew. For now, I would play the role of the unaware husband, acting as if nothing had changed. But inside, something had already broken, something that could never be fixed. This wasn't over. Not for me, and not for her. And deep down, Clara had no idea what was coming. That sleepless night left my thoughts in chaos. The weight of what I had discovered consumed me, but I needed to let it out somehow. Amanda seemed like the only person I could talk to. Despite everything, she was the only one who understood even part of what was happening. The next afternoon, I sent her a message. "I need to see you. It's urgent," she replied almost instantly. The usual hotel. I knew what she was thinking. That would just be another one of our meetings. But for me, it was different this time. I needed answers. When I arrived, Amanda was already there, waiting with her usual confident smile. She looked as striking as ever, but my thoughts were elsewhere, still tangled in everything involving Clara. "You look tense," Amanda said as she stood up to greet me. "I am," I replied shortly. "There's a lot going on." She raised an eyebrow and smiled in a suggestive way as she stepped closer. "Maybe I can help you relax," she said. I placed my hands on her shoulders, stopping her before she could come any closer. She looked surprised, but I knew I had to speak first. "Clara is cheating on me," I said directly. Amanda stepped back, her expression shifting into a mix of surprise and disbelief with a hint of irony. "You've got to be kidding," she said, letting out a small laugh. "I saw it myself," I continued, ignoring her reaction. "She was at a restaurant with a coworker. They were holding hands, laughing like nothing else mattered." Amanda looked at me for a moment, then laughed again, this time more sharply. "Lucas, do you even hear yourself?" she said. "You're here with me, cheating on your wife, and you're angry because she did the same?" "It's different," I shot back firmly. "I'm a man. I have needs. This means nothing to me. But her? She was supposed to be faithful. She destroyed our marriage." Amanda laughed again, but this time she didn't seem interested in arguing. "Lucas, you're a lost cause," she said. "But you know what? I won't argue. If you need to vent your frustration, I'm here." She stepped closer and pulled me toward her, kissing me. I hesitated for a moment, but then I gave in. There was no point resisting. Amanda always knew exactly what to say and do to make me forget, at least for a while, everything that was happening. The tension faded quickly, and we gave in to each other like we had so many times before. For a short time, the world went quiet. Clara, and everything she had done, felt distant. But when it was over, I knew it hadn't solved anything. I needed to act. As Amanda lay back on the bed, smoking a cigarette and looking satisfied, I got up and started getting dressed. "You're still going after her, aren't you?" she asked, her tone a mix of curiosity and disapproval. "I am," I replied without hesitation. "She needs to know that I know, and she needs to understand there's no going back." Amanda didn't respond. She just shook her head, as if she had expected that answer all along. When I left the hotel, my decision was already made. The next day, I took the photos I had of Clara and Daniel at the restaurant and went to her office. I wasn't nervous anymore. I was focused. Clara needed to feel the same humiliation I had felt. I arrived around noon, passed through reception without difficulty, and made my way to her floor. When I walked in, she was in a meeting with several people. I knocked firmly on the door, interrupting everything. All eyes turned toward me, including hers. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" she asked, surprised and visibly uncomfortable. "We need to talk. Now," I said firmly. She hesitated for a moment, then stood up, likely realizing I wasn't going to leave without speaking to her. She followed me to a more private corner, away from curious eyes. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to remain calm. Without saying a word, I took the photos out of my folder and placed them on the table between us. She looked down at them, and I saw her expression shift, first surprise, then guilt. "Do you want to explain this to me?" I asked, my voice low but filled with anger. "Lucas, I can explain. I don't want explanations." I cut her off. "You destroyed our marriage, Clara. Lies, betrayal for what? I gave you everything. Everything." She tried to speak again, but I didn't let her. "I respected you, Clara. And this is how you repay me? With Daniel? A co-worker? The two of you laughing at me, while I was at home, working to maintain this pathetic life you clearly don't even value." My voice grew sharper, filled with resentment. While I was working hard, while I was doing everything for us, you were out there laughing with him, lying to me, destroying everything we built together. Clara was visibly shaken. Her hands trembled as she stared at the photos. Tears filled her eyes, but she said nothing. No excuses, no denial, just silence. The silence of someone who knew they had been exposed. Is this what you wanted, Clara? I continued, my voice steady but firm. To throw everything away for some random guy from work? What does he give you that I don't? Fun? Attention? Lucas, please, she finally managed to say, her voice weak and trembling. Please what? I snapped, cutting her off again. You had the chance to be honest. You could have talked to me, told me something was wrong. But no, you chose this. You chose to lie, to cheat, to destroy everything. Clara broke down, covering her face as she cried. Her sobs echoed in the quiet corner of the office. But I felt no sympathy, only anger, and a cold sense of satisfaction at seeing her finally face the consequences. I don't want to hear excuses, I said, my voice now colder. I've already made my decision. I'm filing for divorce. I hope you and Daniel are very happy together, because you've ruined everything we had. She tried to speak, but her words were lost in her sobbing. I didn't wait to hear them. I grabbed my things and walked away, leaving her there, broken and alone. As I passed through the office, her coworkers watched quietly, clearly trying to understand what had just happened. I didn't care. Clara deserved every bit of that humiliation. When I got home, I felt a strange sense of relief, as if a heavy weight had finally been lifted. But at the same time, there was emptiness. Even with all my anger, even believing I was justified, there was no real satisfaction. Deep down, I knew things were more complicated than I wanted to admit. Later that night, Amanda texted me. Can we meet tomorrow? We need to talk. I agreed. I knew she had probably already heard about what happened. Their lives were too connected for something like this to stay hidden. The next day, we met at the same hotel. But this time, Amanda was different. She seemed tense, nothing like her usual confident self. She sat on the edge of the bed, arms crossed, as if preparing for something difficult. Clara came to see me, she said immediately. My expression hardened. What did she say? She's devastated, Lucas, Amanda replied softly. She told me everything. What happened at work, the photos, the divorce. She has no idea I'm involved with you. But she's completely broken. I rolled my eyes, unable to hide my reaction. She destroyed our marriage, Amanda. She deserved it. What did you expect me to do? Stay silent while she laughed behind my back. Amanda sighed, as if struggling with herself. I'm not here to argue about whether she deserved it, she said. But Clara is my best friend. She came to me for support, and I felt horrible because I know I'm betraying her too. This isn't right. My anger flared again. Amanda, I've already told you. This is different. Clara chose to cheat. She lied to me. What we have has nothing to do with that. Lucas, Amanda interrupted. I'm not saying she's right. But I can't continue this. Not right now, while she's hurting like this. I need time. Time, I repeated, stunned. You're ending this because of her? After everything she did? Yes, Amanda said firmly. Because at the end of the day, Clara is my friend. And even if she was wrong, I'm wrong too. We both are. I stayed silent, trying to process her words. Part of me wanted to argue, to convince her that what we had was different, that Clara was the only one at fault. But deep down, I knew Amanda had already made her decision. Fine, I said at last, standing up. If that's what you want, then so be it. But this doesn't change anything. Clara ruined our marriage, not me. I don't regret what I did. Amanda didn't respond. She just looked at me with a mix of sadness and resignation. I left the hotel once again, alone. But this time, it felt like something else had broken too. As I walked down the street, one thing remained clear in my mind. I was right. Clara had crossed a line that could never be undone. And even if Amanda had walked away, I told myself that everything that had happened, every mistake, every consequence, was Clara's fault. At least, that's what I chose to believe.